Pardon the small delay. We have visitors today. As I told you, we got some visitors, but we're all set. We're going to have probably the greatest breakup we've ever had. The news is too good today. How can we resist? How can we resist? Double B, good morning, team. Indeed. Jose, what's up, my man? Good morning, Bitcoiners. Let me make some coffee first. I made my coffee. It is doing great. Good morning, Bitcoiners. Just got my coffee. Ben just got my copy of The Philosophy of Bitcoin and Crypto Sovereignty. Thanks, Bitcoin Magazine. Amazing. Happy Friday, everyone. It is Friday. It is. That's true. That's true. Guten Tag. Wife and I are heading to Burning Man today. Sounds like fun, Andy. Think of us Bitcoiners while you're having a great time. For us down here in Australia, Friday is already over. That's true. Yeah, you are a day ahead. I know my visitor from Japan arrived last night, so he had to relive the day. So there you go. Morning, Bitcoiners. Bud, how you doing, my man? How you doing? Good morning from Jevi. I have no coffee. Oh, that's always the worst, Jevi. The no coffee at the Airbnb. Jevi, of course, at BitBlock Boom in Austin, Texas. Kind of a shithole town, but there's some nice parts to it, right? I like the water there. The soda waters, the Topo Chico and the Radler or something like that. Just great stuff. All right. Let's just have a moment to acknowledge that the sun has risen and Bitcoin is running. So all that's left for us to do is talk about what is new. Let me get my coffee and let's do it. Let's get started. Let's get worked out. We've had a few good Moscow times this week, but this one again is one of our best, right? So The Guardian, this one's good. This one's good. Okay, guys. This one's really good. You're going to love it. Lockdowns and face masks unequivocally cut the spread of COVID, report finds. Unequivocally. There's no arguing, guys. There's no arguing. Because if you argue now, we know that if you hire a lawyer and there's an argument and you're wrong, you can go to jail. Okay, so don't argue the mask thing. You might go to jail. Indeed, this one's also interesting. The CDC is saying that the new COVID variant could cause infections in vaccinated individuals. Did you guys know that even if you get vaccinated, this is brand new. This is the CDC, brand new news. August 25th, that if the new variants come out, guess what? You can still get infected. And there you go. You didn't know, but there you go. This one's also great. This is from The Economist, right? We've been loving this thing, right? They're actually just going straight up with like, I don't think they mean it as a joke. All right. So this is in The Economist. First of all, it's in a subject: eat, inject, repeat. Okay. So eat, inject. Remember that. Say that to yourself. Eat, inject, repeat. Right. That could be the slogan of the new world, whatever it is they're trying to create here. Right. Eat, inject, repeat. Here's the headline: new drugs could spell an end to the world's obesity epidemic. The long-term effects must be carefully studied, but the excitement is justified, everyone. It's going to be great, right? We're going to be able to eat, inject, repeat. Repeat it. Eat, inject, repeat. Eat, inject, repeat, right? We can really get something going here. Thanks, Economist. Now, these next two are really superb. They're really great, all right? Now, I know everyone saw Joe Biden go to Hawaii, and some racist people, some jerks out there said he fell asleep at the thing, okay? But MSNBC is here to let us know, and NBC, they're all involved in this one, right? They're all involved in this one because they got to let you know, right? It was just mean-spiritedness. He didn't fall asleep, okay? Here's the real thing that happened. No falling asleep, all right? Conservative pundits falsely claim Biden slept during Maui Fire Memorial. Using low-quality video that distorts how Biden appears, pundits made the false claim go viral on social media. How unfair. How unfair to him. Geez, he went all the way to Hawaii, and then people said he fell asleep, and then it went viral because they saw the pictures. Low quality, as NBC said. It was low quality, right? So, geez, poor guy can't catch a break, right? But here he's, finally things are turning for Biden. They might be getting a bit better, okay? The Atlantic has this, it's in the ideas section of Atlantic because they have so many great ideas, right? Here's their headline: not illegal, but clearly wrong. The biggest problem with Hunter Biden's access peddling business may have been that his father, the president, thought it was fine. That's the biggest problem. The biggest problem, all right, according to the Atlantic, the biggest problem is that the president thought it was fine. He just thought it was fine, okay? So he wasn't sleeping in Maui. That we were corrected, okay? It didn't happen. He didn't fall asleep. And here, he just thought it was fine, guys. Come on. So that's over. Like, don't worry about the Hunter thing. It's fine, right? He thought it was fine. No big whoop. We got more Moscow time. We're not quite done. We're not quite done. You know, almost no one remembers what happened at the GOP debate a couple of days ago, right? It's already kind of out of the headlines, right? Just one second. This one's great. So the debate is almost already out of the headlines, right? But MSNBC had to make sure that, just like Biden wasn't sleeping, they had to sort of make sure the record was set on Vivek's appearance and performance at the debate. Okay, because everyone said that his abject pessimism, so that's what MSNBC is saying here, that Vivek Ramaswamy's abject pessimism is actually an appeal to authoritarianism. Okay, so let's see what words Zishan Alim came up with, right? Why Ramaswamy's call for reset from the top is so alarming, he says, right? So the reset from the top is really alarming, he says, right? And he says Ramaswamy's identity crisis rant was a disturbing pean. The word P-E-A-N, pean. Okay, so Ramaswamy's identity crisis rant was a disturbing pean. Okay, it was a disturbing pean to right-wing authoritarianism. I've never used the word pean in my life. I think it's like a totem or something like that. I don't know. Just don't use that word, by the way. A clash over whether or not America needs a reset from the top reveals the radicalism of the MAGA worldview. Ooh, it's probably racist too, I bet. I bet it's racist. So I wanted to just get into a bit of what he says in the article, right? Here's what he says, right? Ramaswamy, especially in light of Ramaswamy's other comments about abolishing entire swaths of the federal government and its social services and pardoning Trump, his reset to resolve the nation's identity crisis has the air of a right-wing revolutionary seeking to reinvent the social order around a strong man. Okay, it's not a straw man. It's a strong man. Okay. Ramaswamy's dark tone. Dark. He's dark. I can't believe they said the word dark. Dark. Okay. Dark tone was reminiscent of Trump's foreboding promise to end the American carnage during his inauguration speech. I don't want to overstate the differences between the establishment and MAGA wings of the GOP. There are many continuities between Reagan's GOP and Trump's GOP in terms of social exclusivity, commitment to plutocracy, fondness for over-policing, and foreign policy militarism. Trump is so known for it, right? He's the only president who didn't go to war in his mandate, but of course, it's full foreign policy militarism that he's known for. He's known for it, everyone. Trump is known for it, and Vivek's just like him. He's all about the military, right? But the tonal difference between the old guard and the new guard isn't purely aesthetic, right? It's a pain. Optimism about society as it exists lends itself. Now Zishan is going to give us all some spiritual advice here, guys. Okay, Zishan is actually, he's not just a writer and editor for MSNBC Daily, right? He's like a guru for how to navigate the times we live in. Okay, he's like a guru, right? And this is what he says, right? Optimism about society as it exists lends itself to a greater degree of good faith cooperation with the opposition. It's good faith cooperation with the opposition. Okay, it's just if you're optimistic, you're good faith cooperation with the opposition, right? But not Trump. Okay, It can also encourage working within the political establishment to enact change. You can work within the system, guys. You can work within it. It's okay, right? You can work within the system. In contrast to all of his amazing pines, right? He's such a great guy. In contrast, abject pessimism about the system leads to the argument that the best way to solve problems is to tear it down. Boom. Zishan, win. You're great, Zishan. All right, so that's what MSNBC had to say about Vivek. Now we got just 2 more little Moscow times before we get into what you want to talk about, the Trump stuff, because it's Trump, right? But Washington Post couldn't help itself. All the stuff going on in the world, they had to actually have. They had to treat somehow this indictment and arrest and mugshot, right? So what is the Washington Post? What do you think the Washington Post's big takeaway of the mugshot is? Is it a pivot point? Is it a turning point in democracy? Is it any of those things, right? Here's what they say. The Trump cases, right? The Trump cases. What we learned about Trump's height and weight in the Georgia booking. Okay. And here's what they say. The president's height was listed at 6'3" and his weight at 215. But based on some of his co-defendants, the numbers might not be accurate. So if you get into the deep penetrating analysis that the Washington Post provided here on the first ever time a political opponent was arrested in America and a former president was arrested and given a mugshot, the deep and penetrating analysis that the Washington Post brings us is that the height and weight measurements of the other lawyers they booked, because they also arrested all the lawyers for defending Trump and disagreeing about what the legal state of the legal status was in the election, right? So all those guys got arrested too. And some of their height and weight were not accurate, guys. Can you believe it? That the height and weight that they report, the co-defendants, wasn't the same as what the prison weigh-in gave them? Scoop! Washington Post with the mega scoop that the Fulton County Jail doesn't always do weight and height well. Just like what the other guy was saying, right? You got to work in the system and with your partners and with the other side, and then you can have a better world. Just like the guy from MSNBC said, right? It's that simple, guys. It's that simple. So, thankfully, the Washington Post is here to correct the record on the height and weight, because Trump lies. He lies, guys. He's a liar. He's a liar, and he's lied about his height and weight. So there you go. Now, this one's the best. This is Joy Reid, right? Joy Reid has a forever place in Moscow time. We got to build a statue to her one day as one of the great founders of the modern world. She's wonderful. And here's what she says, right? Here's what she says. Trump's mugshot is justice, and Fannie Willis is a national hero. Beautiful. It's just beautiful. Thank you. And she goes on to say, people like Trump persecuted Black and brown people in New York. People like Trump did that. That's what she's saying here, right? So it wasn't Trump that did it. Trump didn't persecute Black, but like, because people like him did it, right? Here's what she goes on to say, that according to Joanne Reid, his mugshot represents justice because people like Trump prosecuted Black and brown people. So, but he didn't do it, but that's okay. That doesn't matter, right? But because people like him did it, that he got arrested, it's kind of like justice, as she says, right? It represents justice. Guys, it couldn't get better. It just couldn't get better than this, right? You thought the mugshot could be good, but even just look at how Trump played it, right? Look at how he played it. And that's what we're going to talk about today. Today, our theme is mugshots and money shots, right? Mugshots and money shots. I had a hell of a time getting the AI together this morning, though, guys. Listen to what the kind of things it won't let you do. I tried to do money shots with like dildos shooting through a coffee cup and destroying it so that I would have like a money shot with a mugshot. I couldn't get anywhere near the dildo action. I got a banana in there, which I thought gave the Banana Republic kind of aspect, but I couldn't tilt it for a money shot the way you'd want to get, like if you were filming a porno, you'd want to get that money shot from the right angle. couldn't get the banana to do the angle for me, and I couldn't get the shot to destroy the coffee cup. I tried all kinds of things. It wouldn't. I also tried at one point to do a mugshot for Greta. It wouldn't let me do that. Of course, it let me do many mugshots with Trump without even one warning. Normally, the system on the AI it does a rejection and then you can appeal, right? But it didn't work that great this time. Anyway, I'm happy with the picture I got. It kind of gives the vibe: Banana Republic, money shot. I don't know. I don't think the dildo piece came through in the money shot, but at least it's subconsciously around it, right? But here's Lotus Point, going back to what Trump did and putting Trump's actual presentation into context here, right? Now, I don't think this, she probably, or he probably could have tightened it a little bit in writing, but it gets to the point, right? This is what he says. He goes, imagine being such a master of social media as art. Remember what I've been saying for a long time, that Trump is an artist? That's what I've said from the minute I saw him. Artist. It's an art. It's all art, right? Here's what he says. Imagine being such a master of social media as art that you can engineer your long-awaited return to Twitter happening at exactly the same time you get thrown in jail by carpetbaggers. And the day after you forego rigged debates in favor of X and a fascist misinformation platform. Oh, gosh. It's true. It's true what he did, right? He gets all the attention. Like, who's even talking about the election or the debate anymore, or Biden, or even, unfortunately, Hawaii, right? Arresting the president has completely occupied the entire mind space of the media and everything. And of course, Trump dominating it, right? And he did indeed come back to Twitter. He tweeted his mugshot. His first tweet back on Twitter is his own mugshot. Come on, it's gorgeous. It's gorgeous because everybody had advice for him. Even me, he's got to get back on Twitter. It's always that way. Everyone who thinks they know gives Trump a bunch of advice, and it all sounds right. It always sounds right. I do it all the time. Remember, I laughed at his NFTs last year. Oh, he's lost a step. I was an idiot within 24 hours, like a complete moron within 24 hours. Had it totally wrong, right? So I'm like, I've been burned so many times that I'm always reluctant to give Trump advice. But even I was saying he's got to get back on Twitter. He's going to lose steam. He's not going to be in the center of things. He's so good at Twitter. He can mix it up. Look, waiting to get back on Twitter to tweet your own mugshot is high art. It's high art. It's the greatest performance you could imagine, right? And now he's doing more. All right, he's doing more than just that. So, well, let's just give it a bit of context, right? So, first of all, he comes out and does I'll give Trump this, right? Whenever people call him a carpetbagger and all this stuff, these great stories, like they tried to get his butler to turn on him for years. And his butler just loves him. And he's like, what do you mean? He's the greatest, right? He's just a cool guy. Like, how can you get mad at him? They went to the Mar-a-Lago grounds, and apparently for years, every Friday, he would come with like a stack of money and just walk to every person at Mar-a-Lago working, mowing the lawns, cleaning windows. And you just give them all $100, like a bill, thanks. So, now, that doesn't mean, I've heard all these things. Trump doesn't pay his bills, New York, business. That's probably all true. He's probably as cheap as you can imagine, right? But with the people that were working on his property, all of them swear no. But here's something he did when he sent out, because he's already got the merch shop, Save Your Country merch shop. It's got the mug shot. It's got all this stuff, right? But of course, he also put out a fundraising letter, right? I will never surrender our mission to save America. He puts in it, just like never surrender what he put in the tweet, right? But then he says this, and this is both good politically and also just good as a human being, right? Here's what he says. If you are doing poorly due to the sinister people in control of our country right now, don't even think about donating. It's a nice touch. It's kind of a nice touch. Now, we found out more about the Fannie Willis woman, right? That she was a campaign director for Georgia in 2020. Did you know that? Did you know that the woman, the hero, the Joy Reid hero, was also involved in the actual Georgia election herself. She was a player in the game. It's like becoming a referee after you were a player, right? And they had, tweets from her and comments from her. So we'll see what comes of that. It could be fake news and it could be insane, right? But we'll see. Here's another one. This is Stick, Sex, and Hammer on what happened, right? And just like that, Trump effortlessly swatted the mind-numbingly useless first GOP debate out of the news cycle like it was a fly, humiliating Fox as rivals and the persecution scam, all while probably making tens of millions of dollars on campaign merch. He's back. Then there's him coming out of the prison saying you should be able to challenge an election. I thought the election was a rigged election and a stolen election. What has taken place here is a travesty of justice, right? Then we do even see the idea now that somehow like a bunch of people, because they saw him arrested, are going to think negatively of him, right? Here's Joel Pollack. The left is celebrating, the right is angry, but we have no idea how people will actually feel if and when a mugshot of a former president is published. It would mark a new low for America, not in presidential conduct, but in the abuse of power and assault on the rule of law, which is what we've been saying forever, right? That America has literally thrown out its most valuable resource, the rule of law, and its reputation as a fair place to do business, to live your life. Who cares? Save Hunter, save Joe, screw Trump, Orange Man bad, burn the country to the ground is already what happened. It's already done, right? This can't be taken back in a way. So you have this thing happening, but here's one of the things that I predicted that would happen in 2020 that didn't. So I got this one wrong. I said to everyone who would listen in 2016 and 2017 that Trump would indeed get reelected. And the main reason he would get reelected is he was going to break the monopoly that the Democrat Party had on the African-American vote. So I was predicting in 2016, 2017, that he would break into that community and shuffle the deck enough that he would win and change the narrative, right? So it didn't happen. I was wrong. It didn't happen. Or he did a little better, but not as well as you'd hoped, right? The Latino vote came his way in Florida. Some of what I predicted was true. Now, I have never rescinded my prediction. I've always thought eventually something like that was going to happen. And it might happen now. So Joy Reid saying this is a justice to Black people and this and that, right? Well, at the same time, did you know this? Did you know that Trump hired, let me see the lawyer he hired immediately. And I think two things are going to happen because of this. All right. So hours before his expected surrender, Trump has hired the attorney who represented rapper Gunna in his RICO case, right? So he hires a rapper's lawyer. All right. And so that, just hold that in your mind for a second. He hires a rapper because the RICO thing he's being charged on is like the gang crime and all that, right? Now here's Royce White saying the following. I said it a week ago. This Trump mugshot is going to backfire. And I guess I got to put this in context. Royce White is a African-American person, right? You need it for the context of the story. So here's what he said, because I don't have credibility saying that I know what African-Americans are going to do. I don't, right? Like I'm not, got a lot of friends, but I hear what they say, but they're all Bitcoiners and similar mindset as me. So here's what he says, right? This Trump mugshot is going to backfire, especially with Black people. Now everyone is going to realize who their real enemy is. When Black folks are cheering free Trump, you Democrats better prepare the Hail Mary. COVID is coming back. Do not comply. And what he did is he showed a video of Trump going through parts of town in Georgia that are predominantly African-American. And they're doing the old come out on the street and wave him on and clap him, tell him we love him and all that stuff. So that stuff's happening. And again, right, the number one thing Trump can do here, and I think he can actually get it done now, right? He can actually say to all these Black people, I agree with you. You are unfairly prejudiced against by the legal system, but so am I. So am I. I'm on your side, right? And that could work. That could work. I think he can actually play that move. And finally, here's what Steve Bannon says about it all. And I think this is true. He says, this is only the third time in history that the destiny and fate of an individual has been tied directly to the fate of the nation. He says, General Washington, Abraham Lincoln, And now Donald Trump. The fate of Trump is tied to the fate of the nation. It's true. I believe that. I believe that. I believe that's true. Now the nation could go into the shitter. That's part of what is possible here, right? And indeed it may. Now, when I said that America got rid of its absolute greatest, gem, its treasure, its reputation as the most fair, democratic, predictable legal environment in the world is gone. It's gone. The most valuable thing at the base of the American empire is erased for this nonsense. And the consequences of that, we don't really know them yet, right? But we can start to see them because it wasn't just Trump that got unfairly tried yesterday. It wasn't just Trump, all right? The Trump news blew this out of the news, but want to know what else happened yesterday? All right, want to know what else happens yesterday? According to NBC News, right? The Justice Department is suing SpaceX, alleging the company discriminated against refugees and asylum seekers in its hiring practices. Okay, now that sounds pretty bad. Oh shit, they discriminated, right? But what's really going on here? What's really going on? David Sachs lets us know Biden's DOJ is suing SpaceX for not hiring more refugees. In other words, it demands SpaceX hire fewer Americans, but national security laws require that rocket companies hire Americans. So he doesn't actually have a choice because it's a rocket company, right? The lawsuit is so nonsensical, it suggests a political motivation. And indeed, he's not the only one to say that this manipulation is there. You get DeLeon, who also came out, and DeLeon's the fella who lived in San Francisco and then famously moved to Miami. And so he broke that all down, saying, I don't think I have that one here, but I do have Mike Lee saying the DOJ may not have time or inclination to go after Joe and Hunter Biden's blatant corruption, but they sure will punish Elon Musk for hiring too many Americans. Elon says the same thing. He goes, exactly. SpaceX was told repeatedly that hiring anyone who is not a permanent resident of the United States would violate international arms trafficking law, which would be a criminal offense. We couldn't even hire Canadian citizens despite Canada being part of NORAD. So he couldn't have hired me to work there because of these laws, right? This is yet another case of the weaponization of the DOJ for political purposes. Perfect. Absolutely perfect. Now, other people have broken it down, but what I see here, and this comes from our friend Matt Taibbi. So Taibbi watched the debates. Taibbi watched the Trump stuff. Taibbi, now, backstory on Taibbi, if you don't know him, he was with the Rolling Stone, left concurrent to the time where Kennedy has been saying that Rolling Stone was infiltrated by Mockingbird and all these folks. So he's on his own. He became one of the Twitter files people that Elon tapped when he bought Twitter. And the other part about Matt Taibbi you need to know is Taibbi was never a Trump fan, never a Trump voter. He had a very clear stance on Trump through Trump won, and even before Trump was elected. And it was the following. There is enough to criticize Trump about that you don't have to lie. Why lie? Why lie all the time? Right? And he rode that logic and that frame for how to handle Trump straight through until now, which is the only frame a journalist should have taken, right? Why all the lying? Like, there's enough to complain about and criticize Trump about as he is. You don't need to make shit up. You don't need to hallucinate things he did and didn't do and all this stuff in order to go after him. And by doing that, you're actually weakening the entire debate and shifting the entire polarity of American politics. And so he's been saying that consistently for years. And now this is what he says about the effects of that manipulation. So he's not tying the manipulation in, but here's what he's saying just as a snapshot on what's going on today. So last night's debate, so obviously talking about two nights ago, last night's debate underscored that 2024 candidates are no longer sorted along blue and red lines, what we've been saying here for months, right? There's a group of oppositional figures facing media blackouts, internet censorship, and the active disdain of their own parties or former parties. The rest seem to be competing for backing of the political establishment. So Taibbi has said what we've been saying here for a long time, and what is actually a great position to be in if you're a Bitcoiner, right? Let me get Jeffy's coffee troubles off the screen. So the thing that as Bitcoiners, we always needed was to not get caught up in right, left, red, blue politics. It really was top down versus bottom up. It really was establishment versus anti-establishment. So when Trump first came around, my attraction to his candidacy was always that he would destabilize this order, right? And I thought that was good for Bitcoin. I was already thinking strategically as a Bitcoiner and the separation of money and state during the first Trump administration and before. And now that we're arriving at this point where the realignment is coming, the Trump third attempt at the White House is going to be totally different than the first and second ones. Because now you actually get the people who understand the top-down versus bottom-up debate, the establishment versus anti-establishment debate, the green versus orange debate. That whole thing, that whole alignment is going to be much more consistent. It doesn't look like Joe Rogan is going back towards these Joe Biden people. It doesn't look like Elon is going to equivocate any longer on what's going on in politics. They're suing his ass all over the place. That doesn't mean he becomes a Trump cheerleader, but it certainly means he's on the same side as Trump, right? It certainly means that. So what I see is this realignment that he's described. You get Elon in big trouble, right? And in the end, there's another thing occurring currently that I think pushes the whole story over the edge, right? All of the things that they've done in the White House until now to get this result, all of the manipulation, all of that stuff, and indeed destroying the American legal system's reputation around the world, comes with a cost, right? And the cost might be seen right away in our banking sector, right? Remember what Jerome Powell might even say today when he's confronted with this BRICS stuff, because the BRICS is going on, and then he's got the thing in Jackson Hole today, so he's going to be making a statement. And if his statement sounds anything like the one he made this summer when they were asking about BRICS, which was, America has nothing to worry about as long as we remain the rules-based system. They're not the rules-based system. They arrested their president. They arrested him. There's a mugshot of a president. And the mugshot is going to amplify the ridiculousness. Well, I don't know if Jerome Powell was trying to subtly criticize what's going on in DC. Maybe, right? As someone, I still have a connection to Powell in the sense that he comes from the law background. I come from the law background. Not every economist comes from the economics background. Many do come from the law background. And so, but we're a little more rare, right? So as people who work in economics but come from a legal background, I have a certain, professional kinship, let's say, to Powell. And what I do think is that he might have been criticizing Biden with that approach. And if that's the case, and we do have the mugshot now, and if Powell tries to say something similar again today, and I think he might, you're going to see that we are indeed in a world where the worst case scenario for American establishment apologists is being realized, where our banking system has to choose. Our banking system has to choose. And they don't get to dictate. They have to choose which of two things they don't want to do. They have to do. They're no longer in charge, let's say. And that might be what we're seeing, right? We're seeing now with Moody's and all the stuff going on in the United States that they are talking about downgrading the credit rating of the major banks, not just these shit little banks, regional banks that helped bank crypto companies, right? Not them. Nope. JP Morgan, all of the big ones. All right. And here's what's going on. You get bank stocks feeling the Fitch in their plans. JP Morgan Chase and friends got a friendly warning from Fitch Ratings. Brace for turbulence ahead in the U.S. banking skies. Moody's already started the rating-a-thon, but Fitch is warming up to downgrading the banking party. JP Morgan stock is falling, and analysts are looking at the bank grades saying A+ is not really an A anymore. Right. So even the metrics of these things are out the door. Right. And did you hear about the 23 bank buddies surviving the stress test like champs? Recession's got nothing on them, or so says the Fed. Right. So buckle up, banking buddies. It's a bumpy ride from here. Right now, I don't want to see anyone in trouble. Right. But other people are saying it. Right. You get JP Morgan's gold trader going to jail. You even get JP Morgan. Did you hear about this week? JP Morgan actually buying into the El Salvador Bitcoin volcano bond because they have to. They don't have a choice anymore. They can't stay on this other team. They got to make choices, and the choices are coming, and they're important, right? All right. So what else do I got here? All the shares of these banks are tumbling, right, in the past couple of days. So let me get to some comments. I'm going to have to do a short one today simply because I'll be going on Spaces right after this, talking with the leader and the lead candidate of the Dutch Libertarian Party. So if you want to talk libertarian politics, join us on a X Spaces at 9 a.m. Eastern, so the top of this hour. So I'll need a bit of turnaround, so we're not going to go too long today. I'll read some of these contents, though, and then we'll be ending a little early. All right, let me go back. Right-wing racist. Daniel says, racist, right-wing. Well makes sense. Abolition of government bodies is always the primary goal of authoritarians. It's true. They got them reimagining their reality. Oh, God, this is going to be good. What did I tell you? Did I tell you we were in for a year of amazing entertainment watching this sucker go down? It's going to get better than this, guys. We're not even at the top. We're not even at the top, right? It's going to only get better. Yeah, and Cernovich had a bunch of quotes on that. He says, all hands on deck now to stop this Bolshevik revolution. Lots of prominent people who would vote Trump but don't want to alienate their shit-lib listeners. Look what's happening in cities. This will be everywhere. Now is not the time for moral cowardice. Be like Elon, right? And indeed, it won't take many people standing up to end this thing. I mean, who are we up against? Really, we're up against like Biden, Yellen, Blinken. These are losers. They're total losers, right? Again, someone once asked me, is politics like House of Cards? No, it's like Veep. We're up against mentally impaired losers. Okay? Losers. And they've hidden behind institutions and degrees, and it ain't going to work. It ain't going to work. Now, it's going to be hard. I mean, for a lot of people. I was never weighed when booked in. Yeah, I mean, it's obviously just a stupid Washington Post story, right? Sounds like another charge on Trump. False weight. Add 2 years to the over. I thought I was the weight I said I was. I didn't know. My lawyers weighed me, they said. Make sure the lawyers don't keep track of his weight if they get it wrong. It's hard to tell if this is real life or an episode of Sons of Anarchy, which is great. This will make Trump even more popular and make the government less legitimate, which is what we want, Jose. We love it. We love this chaos. There's nothing better than a good Trump chaos show for Bitcoin. Nothing. I'm sure I've said this before, but I was never a fan, and now I hope he wins. Wow, the entertainment value would be off the charts. That's a great story, P-Man. Yeah, I mean, I think this is the case for a lot of people, right? I think this is the case for a lot of people. And again, like I'll always... one piece of advice, if you're new to being on the Trump train, and I've said it before, but I'll say it again. There are some people who you will respect and like and think they should be Trump supporters or fans, but remember, he's a bully, and there are some people who cannot look at them, and you got to give people that space. There's being a Trump fan and having to get everyone agree with you on Trump is not a good place to be. I've luckily never tried that, right? I've annoyed people with my let's talk about Trump, right? But I've always understood if people aren't receptive and not interested, you kind of have to not. But that's the only exception. The people who I suspect it's the bully thing, then I give them their space. Some people are just dumb. The degree people, right? The people who hate Trump because they're so smart, right? They went to university for so long. Those people get it, right? Don't have to have patience with them. Check the flagpole story at Mar-a-Lago. Long-term moves. I didn't see that one, Rand. I'll check that out, though. Good morning from Texas. Got my coffee. Glad I found your new channel. Awesome, man. Was missing my dose of Moscow news. Great. Trump looked less orange on Tucker. Yeah, I thought he looked great, didn't he, Jared? I was really impressed with how he looked. I thought I thought the hair didn't look as yellow, and the skin didn't look as orange. I thought he looked as better than he's ever looked, actually, in the Tucker interview. I really did. I think the graying actually fits him. It could have been the light. I don't know what's going on. Shared a Jeff Booth pod with longtime friend. Yeah, well, it's scary because Jeff sees the whole field and is talking about the scale of change, and that is scary to some people. If you're a Bitcoiner, you understand the scale already. So I would say um, just understand that it is a lot, Rand Moore. Like it's a big change. It's a totally different planet, right? It's top down versus bottom up. Everything they criticized Vivek for wanting, right? A top down, a revolution at the top, or a reset from the top, is scary to a lot of people. So, but your mind has already sorted that out if you're a Bitcoiner in many ways, or you're sorting it out. So it's not as big of a chasm to you. So there you go. Someone should orange pill Hunter. Imagine, imagine. That would be great. This pricing will be violent, unrelenting, and unforgiving for many. Yeah, I think it's people wondering if their lunch will be eaten as opposed to Bitcoiners who just want to make more food. Yeah, look, there's as we gotta just laugh and enjoy it, but yeah, it's gonna be violent for some, unfortunately. Assalam, is it dumb to be all in BTC and just rent the whole time? No, not at all. The housing thing's going down, man. like that's psychologically going to be most people's adjustment, is that they have their net worth and their real estate, and that's not going to hold. So, I mean, I went out of my way to buy the farm in Vermont, but I'm not exposed to like real estate risk in a sense that I didn't pay a huge fortune, right? It was very affordable, so I probably had to spend more Bitcoin on it than I would in 2 or 3 years. I'll probably be like, well, I should have waited, but I'm not too worried about that. I wanted in case this whole thing goes sideways, I need a place to put my gun. Sniper tower's got to go in soon. But that really was it. RFK should work. That would be great. Yeah, that would be great. Imagine he comes out jacked. I think Trump is looking great, though. I mean, it looks like he has changed his diet finally. That's great. Cheers, all. Have a great day. See you, P-Man. I was brainwashed Trump hater. Then I took the orange pill. Now I'm a Trump fan. The orange transformation is unbelievable. Amazing news, Habib. Wow. I think there's going to be more people that come forward like you, Habib, honestly. Look, the brainwashing that went into the anti-Trump thing the first time was so intense that if you can break out of it, you should give yourself a pat on the back. Bitcoin helps, but it's so thick what they put in there that it's hard for a lot of people. So there you go. But congratulations, Habib. Thanks, Satoshi, for your transformation. Today's commentary is epic. No, thanks, Thomas. Buying land and a small cabin or a tiny house will be the way to go. Yeah, I think so. Cities, I don't know. I just can't imagine everyone being able to get out of this morass of brainwashing. It's going to be hard. How many acres are y'all on? We want 3 acres. Yeah, I got 3.5, almost. I don't know exactly. My property lines are a little blurred, but it's all all my neighbors are cool, and my farm was cut into pieces, so we're all sort of like brothers and sisters on the land in a way. It used to be one uniform farm, and my house was the main farmhouse. So there's new houses around, not that new, but in the really olden days. There's definitely not new houses, but all right, team. I got a quick turnaround here. I got 10 more minutes before I get into my spaces. Come around to the Twitter spaces and you'll hear some interesting talk, and we'll continue our Trump stuff. I bet I'm talking to a politically engaged guy. So there you go. What I still can't get over with is Trump said he didn't hold his word on the pardons. Yeah, no. I mean, I'll always say that I don't forgive him for that day, but things are different, you know. Like I've said, if you just seeing his face behind, just seeing his face on the mugshot, it changes the calculus a bit. Again, you know, I still, if I could have a magic wand, I would still probably put RFK and Vivek in there. But again, you know, the entertainment value of this guy is through the roof. All right, team. Peace. Love the composting worms, man. Love it. All right.